Hello and welcome back to Crypto Saving Experts, where we talk about the latest cryptocurrency news and take a look at the markets so that we all know exactly what is happening. My name is Jess and we do these live streams every single weekday. So if you are new here, please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that bell notification button. We've got 4 likes before we even started today's stream. What a brilliant start. Thank you very much to everybody who has already hit that like button today. Let's see what's going on with the price of Bitcoin here. We are all still in high spirits with the move that Bitcoin has made over the last couple of days. It's currently trading at 34,352, up around 21% within the last 7 days, and up, let's see how much we've got on the monthly chart here. We are up around 30% this month, so it's very nice to see here. 28% gain there so far in October. We've still got a few days left. Hopefully we can hit that 30% level. We will be analysing the price of Bitcoin at the end of today's stream, so make sure to stay tuned until the very end. First of all, I want to take a look at the biggest gainers and the biggest losers of the day. So Chainlink is up another 6.8%. Now, Chainlink is a token that we were discussing earlier this week. Chainlink has broken through a major level of resistance on the smaller time frames here. These aren't the lines we are looking at. These are very old lines. What we're looking at is this level of resistance here that has been in play since back on the May 2022. So this resistance has been there for how many days? 500 days. But eventually we managed to see a break to the upside for Chainlink and see a massive move to the upside. So that is a big win there. What we are seeing here is this move has been as big as 50% for Chainlink. So very nice to see that. I am a big Chainlink fan. As you all know by now, my portfolio is, the majority of it is in Bitcoin right now, just because I personally think Bitcoin could outperform the altcoins for the first season of the bull market, but obviously Chainlink has performed very nicely within the last couple of weeks. What else have we got here? FTT up 5.7%, a token linked to the centralized exchange FTX. There is rumblings and rumors about them making a decision on the future of the exchange in November, I believe. So that might be why there's some more optimism around the token and the token's price. What else have we got here? We've got APT up 4.6%. We've got Solana up 4.3%. As I said earlier in today's, a couple of days ago, Solana seems to be leading a few of the pumps that we're seeing in the markets right now. And this is still very surprising to me because Solana is a token which has FTX hold a huge amount of Solana tokens, and that could be dumped into the markets at any point in time and could cause a crash of the price of the asset. So it's very interesting to see that traders are still looking at it as an asset that they want to be investing into. But the Solana community is obviously one of the biggest in the cryptocurrency space. They put conferences on all across the world, and there's still a lot of excitement around the project. Now we've spoken about them though, let's take a look at the biggest losers here. We've got MINA down almost 26%. We've got Maker down 7%. Bitcoin SV down 6%. And Waves down 6% as well. So it's not all green across the markets, but things could be a lot worse here. Let's take a look at what's going on within the cryptocurrency news. I want to be talking about the spot Bitcoin ETFs. I want to be talking about what's happening with BlackRock and the SEC. And we've got some more general cryptocurrency news here today. So make sure to stay tuned until the very end. We will be analysing Bitcoin, as I said there. We've already hit 10 likes on today's stream. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. The first story we have today is the SEC have charged BlackRock here. Pretty interesting here. So BlackRock with failing to properly disclose investments by publicly traded fund it advertised. So this is to do with the entertainment industry, and essentially BlackRock have got a slap on the wrist and been told to pay a $2.5 million penalty, and they'll call it quits. So the SEC's order finds that 2015 to 2019, BlackRock BIT made significant investments through a lending facility, a company that developed print and advertising plans for 1 to 2 films per year. You can learn more about this on the SEC website, but essentially they have been charged. They've received a slap on the wrist, but we're moving on from that. I think that story and that headline first caused a little bit of FUD in the markets late last night, but it is to do with the entertainment industry. It's nothing to do with the spot Bitcoin ETFs. They have been charged. They're going to pay that fine, and then we can all move on. But we do have some more pressing news about the spot Bitcoin ETFs, so let's talk about that. First of all, let's see what's happened with these iShares gains ticker symbols. So yesterday, BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETF application made further ground. This was on Monday because IBTC, which is the ticker for the BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETF, was listed on the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation. Now, a senior ETF analyst at Bloomberg said the iShares Bitcoin Trust has been listed on the DTCC, which clears NASDAQ trades, and the ticker will be IBTC. Again, all part of the process of bringing an ETF to market. Now, we saw this and everyone was feeling very positive about this, and then just a couple of hours later we saw BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETF disappears from DTCC website, and this did cause the price of Bitcoin to tumble 3% in minutes. But if we take a look again, it's back. It's back on the DTCC website, and it seems to be a bit of a glitch in the system there, but we are back. The BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETF is on the DTCC website, and as I said, that is which clears NASDAQ trades. Bigger news than this is we're seeing another spot Bitcoin ETF on that list today. So ARK spot Bitcoin ETF is now listed on the DTCC as well as ARKA, ARKA. So big changes are going on here. Hopefully this is a signal that we are going to see some more positivity within the next couple of days and weeks. We definitely do have some positivity here when it comes to Grayscale spot Bitcoin ETF. So let's deep dive into that. Before we do, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button. The story here with Grayscale, let's start from the very beginning. So Grayscale applied for a spot Bitcoin ETF, and the SEC rejected them because of it was a problem with the underlying assets. So let's see if we can go to the beginning of this. Do we have the beginning of this in here? Oh, we'll just go off the top of my head. So Grayscale applied for a spot Bitcoin ETF, and the SEC rejected it, and then the Grayscale took the SEC, the regulators in the US, to court and said, you cannot reject a spot Bitcoin ETF when you accept a futures Bitcoin ETF because the underlying assets are the same. So the reasoning as to why you're rejecting our spot Bitcoin ETF doesn't stand. And the courts ruled in favor of the Grayscale and not in favor of the SEC. So SEC lost that lawsuit, and it was determined that the SEC shouldn't have rejected Grayscale's spot Bitcoin ETF application on those grounds. So that was a massive win for the cryptocurrency space. We then waited 45 days to see if the SEC were going to appeal the decision, the outcome of the lawsuit, and they did not. So that was another win for the cryptocurrency space. And then we had to wait to see what the courts were going to deem as the next steps for the Grayscale spot Bitcoin ETF. Now, what we did see was on the 29th of August, they'd said that the SEC need to take another look at the spot Bitcoin ETF application from Grayscale, and the courts have now urged them again. So the judge has ordered the SEC to re-review Grayscale's spot Bitcoin ETF application, and this is really important because obviously we saw them lose in court. We saw a big win for Grayscale, but we really needed the next steps to be outlined. Now, the SEC have a couple of options here. They could first of all delay the decision about this. We've seen a lot of delays when it comes to spot Bitcoin ETFs. The SEC do like to take their time, but they do have some final deadlines for the majority of these spot Bitcoin ETFs. They do need to make a decision by March at the latest, hopefully by January. But with this option, they also have the option to just accept the spot Bitcoin ETF and let it go live. At that point in time, I would imagine that the SEC also accept BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETF, VanEck, Fidelities, and all of the other big companies. I imagine we may see simultaneous acceptance of these spot Bitcoin ETFs, but again, we don't know yet. And the third option is they find another reason to reject these spot Bitcoin ETFs. Now, none of us want to see this, and it is predicted by professionals that there's a 90% probability that we will see spot Bitcoin ETF applications being accepted, but it's not a certainty. Now, just 2 weeks ago, or last week I think it was, we saw Cointelegraph falsely report that a spot Bitcoin ETF had been accepted, and the price of Bitcoin absolutely soared. Now, there is question as to whether Gary Gensler and the SEC could use that manipulation of the Bitcoin market as a reason as to why we can't have spot Bitcoin ETFs in the market. And there's many other arguments out there that Gary Gensler could choose to try and argue with and use as a reason to reject these spot Bitcoin ETFs. Now, we know by now the cryptocurrency industry will fight until the end, and they will try and battle these problems with the SEC, even if the SEC do reject this round of spot Bitcoin ETF applications. I don't believe it will be the last. We've seen Grayscale already win a lawsuit, and they are determined to continue to fight until we do get these products into the market. The benefits of a spot Bitcoin ETF is that anybody that has access to trading stock, it would just become trading Bitcoin and trading these spot Bitcoin ETFs would just be like trading any other traditional stock or ETF. We just have that opportunity to gain huge exposure to other investors and traditional investors, and it really means that we could gain a huge amount of adoption for the cryptocurrency space, because it makes it much easier for people to say, do you know what, I want to allocate 1% or 2% of my portfolio to Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency space, because I've heard about it before, I've seen how it can move, and if it moves again, I want to be on the right side of that trade. So we may see a huge amount of adoption there, and there's been some crazy price predictions off the back of this. We did read a report on the stream last week that suggested if each company that has created a spot Bitcoin ETF application puts 1% of their funds under management into their own ETF, we would be looking at $50,000 to $72,000 for the price of Bitcoin. Now, that would be absolutely insane. So we have to realize here that retail investors would be able to invest in spot Bitcoin ETFs, and we could see that huge wave of adoption. And we have to realize that the issuers of these ETFs need to be buying up enough Bitcoin to have that one-to-one correlation there. What's happened with Grayscale in the last couple of days since all of this news has gone on? Well, the application from Grayscale has been to transfer its GBTC, its Bitcoin trust, into a spot Bitcoin ETF. So essentially what Grayscale have is they have a company that owns a huge amount of Bitcoin, but the problem is the SEC aren't accepting its application to transfer that into a spot Bitcoin ETF. So GBTC isn't actually valued at the value of its underlying assets of the Bitcoin that it holds. So let's say that GBTC holds 10 Bitcoin. Its market cap should theoretically be 10 Bitcoin, but it's not. So over time, we've seen about a 45% discrepancy between the amount of Bitcoin and the value that the value of the Bitcoin that GBTC holds and the value of the company there, or of the GBTC stock. So we've got the chart up here today, and you can see that this has seen a massive move to the upside within the last couple of days. We obviously have seen the similar fluctuations to the price of Bitcoin over the years. We can see here that we did see that double top formation as we did with the price of Bitcoin. We saw that move to the downside as we did for Bitcoin, and we've seen that staggered move to the upside. But as you can see, this moves. In fact, we can pull up Bitcoin on here so you can see the differences between Bitcoin and Grayscale there. If we take a look at what's happened since the start of the year, this orange line is Bitcoin, this chart is Grayscale. Grayscale has been outperforming Bitcoin because the more likely that a spot Bitcoin ETF conversion is for GBTC, the more people are attracted to this product. Let's say that Grayscale owns GBTC has 100 Bitcoin. If the value of the stock is at 50% of that, or let's say more realistically, 75% of that, as soon as GBTC transfers into a spot Bitcoin ETF, that discrepancy closes and the value of the stock becomes the value of its underlying assets, the amount of Bitcoin that it holds. So people have been able to take advantage of that discrepancy and make a huge profit from that. And hopefully, if we do see the spot Bitcoin ETFs, they will see even more profit from that. So that was a brilliant opportunity. We have spoke about that on the channel through over the months of these live streams because it's a really interesting opportunity. A lot of people have taken advantage of that now. I'm not sure what the current discrepancy is. I would be interested to know though, so let me pull that up. Grayscale GBTC discrepancy. Let's discount. Let's see what's going on there. So we'll pull this into the chat now. What have we got here? We're looking at minus 13.85%. So the amount of Bitcoin that Grayscale holds is worth 13.85% more than the stock's current trading value. But you can see here, it used to be down at 48%. It was trading at almost half the value of its Bitcoin, but that discrepancy is closing, and more positivity coming around these spot Bitcoin ETFs is causing that price gap to really get smaller and smaller. So big wins there for Grayscale. Before we continue with today's stream, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button. What else have we got in today's stream? There are 182 days to go until the Bitcoin halving. So the block reward is going to be cut by 50% in just 182 days. Historically, this has been a reason for, let's get that article back up again. Where's it gone? Historically, that has been a reason for the price of Bitcoin to enter a bull market and perform very, very nicely. So that is hopefully what we are going to see this time around. That is what we are all anticipating here. Let me get this article back up. Where's it gone? So the halving will see the block reward cut from 6.25 to 3.125, 163,000 Bitcoin to be mined before April 2024, and then following that, we will see the cut in block rewards, and hopefully we will see a similar trigger as to what we've seen before. In fact, we can pull up the Bitcoin halvings here on the chart. Let's see. Buy coin, let's try Bitcoin. There we go. Bitcoin events here. If we also go to the BTC USD chart for Bitstamp, we can see this a lot more clearer. So if we go to the monthly chart here, you can see very, very clearly as night and day. When a Bitcoin halving happens, it typically means that we are moving on to a bull market. There we can see from the first Bitcoin halving, when we were trading down at $12, it triggered a bull market, which moved all the way up 9,540% to 1,160. We then had the second halving. At this point, we were trading around $565, had a bull market all the way up to almost $20,000. And then obviously we've had this most recent halving, which I'm sure a lot of you have been in the markets for. This halving, we saw $8,523, and we did see a high all the way up at $70,000 there. So right now we've seen a low of $15,586. Let me know in the chat if you think the bear market is over, or if you think we are going down and going to see more lows. Very interesting there. James has just sent $5 into the chat with the hashtag Let Jess Have the Super Chats. Thank you so much. We've not had one of those in a while. Let Jess Have the Super Chats began when Jordan promised, if we have enough super chats, I can take them home with me and I can put it in my pocket. Still up for debate here at Crypto Saving Expert. I'm also trying to fight to get the plaque eventually, because one day we will hit 100,000 subscribers, and when that day comes, I want the YouTube plaque. But we'll never know. Thank you very much for that donation. Very appreciative. Let's see what's going on here in the markets. What else have we got here today? MicroStrategy are flexing. They've made $700 million of unrealized profit on their Bitcoin holdings. I'm not sure about you guys, but it's very nice to check your portfolio balance at this point in time. I'm feeling very, very confident in the decisions I've made within the last 6 months. It is easy to doubt yourself when you're buying when the markets are incredibly red and incredibly bearish and incredibly slow and incredibly boring. When everybody else has left the space, it's so hard to continue to feel positive about things and about that the prices are going to start moving in the right direction. So when we do see these moves to the upside, it's like getting that clarification that what you've been working for was all worth it. So it's very nice to check our portfolios here. We have also been doing these live streams every single weekday since December the 7th, throughout the low period of the bear market, trying to make this period of time a little bit more enjoyable and make it feel like we do have a community here, because having a community during a bear market is one of the most important things to stay focused and to stay with the goals that we have set for ourselves. Let's see what else is going on here. So Coinbase has refuted rumors of a $5,000 Bitcoin per week withdrawal limit. So a thread by a Coinbase user on X shone a light on an apparent withdrawal limit On Monday evening, a Coinbase user took to X to share frustrations of an alleged limit, and Coinbase have responded to the post asking Colin to direct message the exchange's support account to share the information. They're saying it's not true here, so we'll see what happens there. We are also seeing right now some technical difficulties when it comes to Binance. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Binance had temporarily halted crypto withdrawals. Binance withdrawals. Let's see if we've got an article here today. So because of a temporary unavailable due to technical issues. So the last withdrawal from one of Binance's Ethereum accounts was sent at 10:45 UTC. Hopefully this is all sorted within the next couple of hours. It's not a good look for Binance, and obviously we don't want to be seeing this. We don't want to be seeing problems and headlines with withdrawals temporarily unavailable. We've all got a bit of PTSD after what happened with FTX there, so it'd be nice to see that all be sorted and go to rest. Let's see what else is going on. We've got one more article here for the day. Ethereum eyes $2,000 after pushing above the 200-day and 200-week moving averages. Let's take a look at what's going on in the markets right now, because we will get on to Ethereum in just a second. But I think it's important to talk about how the markets change throughout a bull market. Now, we did discuss this lightly yesterday, but I would like to go into more detail. So what we have here is the monthly chart for Bitcoin. I think, first of all, we need to be looking at these bigger time frames and highlighting the major levels of resistance that we could potentially be seeing here in the markets. Now, the first one for me is that $35,000 level that was used as a major level of support in that May and July pullback that we saw back in 2021, that very painful pullback that caught a lot of people by surprise. That has created a big level of support, which we could be using as a level of resistance. I'm also looking at this one here, similar kind of effect there. We're looking at $38,300. Definitely levels to be aware of. If we go into the smaller time frames, let's work down to the 1 week time frame. You can see here that we have other significant levels here. So I'm looking at specifically this entire zone. Let's stretch this out. Let's get rid of that one. Let's stretch this out and look at this in a little bit more detail. If we pull out the rectangle, we can see that between this zone here on the let's color code this. So the yellow lines were for the monthly chart, and we can make that one a little bit thinner, and this one a little bit thinner as well, because this may get messy. If we take a look at what's gone on the weekly chart, we can see here that this zone here has been acting as a level of support and resistance in the past, and that is between the $36,000 level to the $38,000 level. I think right now we've seen this huge push to the upside, and it has been very nice to see, and a big nice win. But what we should be expecting here, and not what we should be expecting, but what would be nice to see here is some sort of confirmation bounce, because we've got these significant levels of resistance above us, and it would be really nice just to see a confirmation bounce, maybe not this low, but at some levels, to show that we do have some strong price support at these points, because the price support is so important. If we see a sharp move to the upside, we need to make sure that we're building levels of support along the way, so that if the price does start to move to the downside, we have those levels to rely on. So right now we are trading at $34,300. A confirmation bounce of that $32,500 level would be very nice. Whether we will see that or not, I do not know. Right now things are pretty tense, and right now things are moving based off the news. So this isn't typical price action. This isn't just day-to-day price action. This is the market's reacting to the news. I think a major reason for this beginning of this push-up was from the Cointelegraph fake article about spot Bitcoin ETFs being accepted. What we saw there was a lot of people realizing the impact these ETFs could have on the markets and trying to front-run the actual news when it does come out, whether they are going to be accepted or rejected. Obviously, a lot of people are expecting acceptance of these ETF applications by now. So what we are seeing here is Bitcoin is really powering up and moving up to those higher levels. Right now, we are not at a point in time where I would expect Ethereum to really start outperforming Bitcoin, and that is because typically in a bull market we see Bitcoin perform very well, and then Bitcoin gets that big market dominance, and slowly it starts to shift then into Ethereum and high cap coins, then into mid cap coins and into low cap coins there as well. So right now Ethereum has been massively outperformed by Bitcoin. How long this will last, I'm expecting until around that Bitcoin halving, but that is up for debate. And then I will start to diversify into those high cap coins. But things are starting to change. Things are looking different. Things are on the up, and we stated this here on the channel back at these levels here at $25,000. I've been buying every single dip possible, because when the opportunity comes and the rally really begins, buying in lower is something that I have regretted not buying in lower is something I've regretted too many times. In this bear market, I wanted to make sure that I was confident in my holdings before we do see some moves like this. Very, very thankful that I'd made those decisions. As I said previously, it's so difficult to feel confident in your decisions when the space is empty. Nobody wants to talk about crypto, and it just feels like we're going sideways. But it does, with this move to the upside, has highlighted for us all the potential that a bull market brings and the amount of excitement that the space has. This is potentially just the beginning, and we could see some big changes within the next couple of months. Hopefully, fingers crossed, the SEC don't ruin all of these plans and reject those spot Bitcoin ETFs. I do have to highlight that is still a possibility, but that is what we are focusing on right now. That is what we all have eyes on right now. If we do see some sort of response for these requests from the courts for the SEC to accept Grayscale spot Bitcoin ETF, we could see a massive wave of acceptance. My camera's just died. I've got one last story I want to share with you here. So a representative from the SEC Commissioner Hester Peirce has said on Monday that she is mystified why her agency haven't approved the spot Bitcoin ETF by now. So big things hopefully coming, but my camera's died, so that's the end of today's stream. Thank you very much, as always, for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button. That's